We had a quick look at Wildstar a few weeks ago, but now it's been released fully into the wild, we dove headfirst into this beast of an MMO.
If you haven't heard of Wildstar, it's a sci-fi massively multiplayer online game brought to us by developer Carbine. The team includes a bunch of old-school Blizzard MMO developers, so you feel that experience in everything from the game's reward structures to the art and sound design.
Double kill.
With every double jump and taxi ride through the world, the more this really does start to feel like WoW 2.0.
Yeah, absolutely. And the developers have said they're not trying to steal people away from WoW. What they're trying to do is get those people who maybe played WoW back in the day and are missing it a little bit. Just like me.
Yeah, you really are their target audience.
Yeah.
Make any progress?
Let's talk about the story. There are two factions, the Exiles and the Dominion. They're laying claim to the recently discovered planet, Nexus.
We have just completed a great journey across the stars. The fulfillment of our ancient destiny is at hand.
This planet used to be inhabited by an ancient race known as the Elden. And as you venture through this land, collecting, killing and grouping, you start to learn more about their race as you fight for control of the riches they left behind.
These xenobites are one of my most elegant creations.
I thought this abandoned planet idea worked really well for a sci-fi MMO. There really is limitless potential for crazy gear, planets or species to be all over the place.
Don't you vomit on me.
The creature design is fantastic too. From their animations, their unique attack patterns, and just where they sit in the world. And that's no small achievement. I often find with sci-fi, aliens look a bit out of place, but they've hit it pretty good with this.
Except for those lops that hang around the city, they really creep me out.
I'm in a lop cave.
Yeah, they are super creepy. I kind of wish they were a playable race. I like the whole technology gold rush vibe this game has. It gives it a bit of a Wild West feel.
Get a move on. They ain't too far from here.
The art style, however, I feel is less West and more Eastern influenced. Which does make things very cute and wacky, and it's also why I've been a bunny for the last week.
Yeah, I think the art style will be a barrier for some. It certainly was for me. I hated it. I just found it really difficult to connect with this. You know, I'm not afraid to say I'm a bit of a snob when it comes to sci-fi and fantasy, and this just felt like Saturday morning cartoons to me.
We've been arguing about this all week because I love this art style. I think it's quite beautiful at times, and at first I was a bit hesitant, but now I'm just right on board with it. For me, it feels kind of like World of Warcraft meets Pixar.
Who's this little guy? Oh.
He was looking at me funny.
Yeah, and that's fine, but I think with MMOs, they're so all-consuming. You spend so much time in that world that you really want to love it, and personally, I don't want to spend time in a world that just looks like Jack and Daxter.
We've got a challenge to collect some butterflies.
How do we get the butterflies?
But I think it just does come down to personal taste, and for me, I struggle to get past it.
Oh, you jump into them.
Oh, what's up so high?
Jump for the butterflies, Hex.
This one, this one.
Challenge complete.
Yeah, nailed it.
I don't agree with you, but I know that there are a lot of people that feel this way as well, because normally whenever we play an MMO, all of our friends jump right on board, at least just for a couple of weeks, but only a couple did this time. But I just like it. I even like the really high-end gear, which looks like a cheap plastic toy that you get at the markets. I don't think it's cool. But if you don't mind being a Space Looney Tunes character, then rich strategy and deep mechanics await you in Wildstar.
Absolutely. Combat is all about movement and area of effects. Attacks are telegraphed exceptionally well with coloured shapes in the ground, so things are always clear and reactive, even in the most frantic of fights. And I just love that you're always moving.
Yeah, absolutely. Even 20 hours in, I was getting knocked out of autopilot all the time with just random mobs that had devastating attacks.
I think the tank saw you.
I don't think I can prance my way out of this.
And I found it quite fascinating watching healers form strategies too, using their aimed healing AoEs with the same kind of mechanics. It's just so good to be so active in an MMO fight.
Yeah, and you can tell they've worked hard to ease you into the combat mechanics too. Fights get progressively more challenging and enemies start throwing some crazy moves at you. And when you hit level 10, they start peppering elites and group quests in randomly to keep you on your toes.
Yes, you learn pretty quickly to start checking the health bars of enemies before you jump in. More than once I was at the mercy of a giant elite chicken with 28k health. And much of this is to prepare you for the end game, which we haven't got to yet. Carbine are bringing back 20 and 40-person raids, with a focus on making sure each class has to keep moving and participating in every moment in every fight.
I'm curious to see how they go, and if there's a big enough community out there to get into raids that long and tough again.
Yeah, me too. I'm not quite sure if I'm ready for it. They also do a good job of preparing you for the group instances, which are broken up into classic dungeons, but the more interesting mode are called adventures. And these see you voting on multiple paths, they're in big wide open areas, and they often require more unique strategy to get through it.
Oh, we're gonna jump on it. That's awesome.
And the other type of instances are called ship hand missions, which can be tackled solo or in a group. And the big fights get crazy.
Oh, I made that one. So did you. Oh, damn. Oh, damn. Oh, got that one though.
It's a good thing you can zoom out so far.
Yeah, it's full on, and interestingly enough, your entire group is level scaled for these events. I think they've taken some cues from Guild Wars 2 on that front, because it actually works quite well.
I think it's a good range of classes and races that you can pick from right from the start. And also, interestingly, each class is built for damage, as well as a second role, such as tank or healer, which is a fantastic idea. For example, the Stalker, which is a bit like a rogue, can also tank. And you can switch between roles easily and freely respec abilities at any time. And I just love playing with so many abilities and forming different strategies and then trying out new strategies. I just love all that stuff so much.
Yeah, it's wonderful you've got so many abilities to play with, but you're also limited in how many you can equip at once, so it's not overwhelming. And if you thought boss battles were intense, the PvP matches are insane.
A moody mask has been stolen by the Dominion.
Ah, so much colour and movement, Barjo.
Yeah, my keyboard number keys got quite a workout. This is what it looks like playing PvP in Wildstar. But still, just like the PvE, everything still makes sense to the player on screen, which I think is quite remarkable. And it's nice and hard too. My favourite mode so far is the Moody Masks, which is kind of like Capture the Flag. There's no local servers, which is a shame, but I didn't really notice any lag, maybe once or twice in PvP, and I am still worried that it's there though and affecting me competitively.
Maybe you're just a bit crap.
It's quite possible.
I'm sure you're great.
A moody mask has been recovered by the Dominion.
Still, it's nice to see an MMO doing world PvP again, which I know is something you're a big fan of.
Yeah, absolutely. If you're gonna have two warring factions, let them war out in the open. I just love a server which is one gank away from all-out war. There is just so much more to talk about with this game. We haven't reached the level cap, so we couldn't test out the huge 40 versus 40 structure-based PvP war plots, or any of the endgame content. I was able to purchase my own house though, Hex, although furnishing it was quite expensive and I want all the trappings.
Yes, I think you're a little ways off your dream palace yet, but that's okay. I think it's good that you have to work for things, even the mount, which isn't cheap for a level 15 character.
Yes, I love my mount, Hex, my Trusk. Oh, isn't she beautiful? Oh, and the hoverboards, Hex. Firstly, I'm glad there's hoverboards. Secondly, they're so good.
Oh, got all these different bits to it. Look at that. Give me a hoverboard. Give me it.
I think to really enjoy Wildstar, you also have to accept that while there are some nice story recaps as you move through the zones, this is quite a grind to the top. For me, some of the questing zones overstay their welcome early on. I mean, don't get me wrong, quests are fun and varied and most importantly, almost always make sense. But yes, you'll be collecting and killing a lot of things. Like, a lot.
And you know what, Hex? I'm fine with it. It's actually quite nice for a change just to zen out and click through all of these quests. It's all just there, let's just get on with it. This isn't like Star Wars The Old Republic or Elder Scrolls Online, for example, where it's really the story that pulls you through the game. This is about getting stuff for doing stuff, and it works. There's no crappy drop rate system. Everything is based purely on how much effort you put in.
Yeah, it's a clever game. A lot of work has been put into its systems, and I think Carbine are in it for the long haul. Whether it can sustain a population with a monthly subscription model in this day and age remains to be seen. Well, we should wrap this up. Look, while I wasn't completely on board with this, I think there's a lot to like in Wildstar. This is a well-made MMO with instantly fun combat, and it's a unique universe too. It's always so hard to score an MMO, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. They're such big and evolving beasts of a game.
Yeah, I think so far my experience has been worth a 7.
Well, I think this is an incredible game. For me, this has got as close to WoW as possible without actually cloning it, but still, you know, forging its own identity and being something new and interesting. The more I think about Wildstar, the more I want to play it, and that's both a good and a bad sign, so I'm giving this 9 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Challenge begins.